Hello, everyone. So today, Venus is at the very end of its transits from Capricorn into Aquarius. And I want to offer some reflection on Venus moving into Aquarius, joining Pluto, and then joining Mars. To do that, it's really helpful to understand just the nature of the transition from Capricorn into Aquarius and how significant this is. Venus can always be understood on two levels, two dimensions. There's the internal facet of Venus. This is more of the Taurus dimension of Venus, our inner relationship to ourselves, how we listen, Venus, hear our own needs, our ability to embody our own feelings, and connect with the life that reflects the value and the meaning that we're seeking to experience within. So it's much more internal, physical, about one's physical reality, physical environment, one's body, and it speaks to a knowing of oneself, okay? The social, and this is more of the Libra dimension of Venus, speaks to the relationships we create and how we learn how to listen and hear other people and hear other people's needs, and how we learn to create balance or nurture the flow of balance. What can I give? What am I available to give? What do I need? What do I need to communicate and ask for? It's all about the ways in which our own value and sense of meaning and embodied purpose in life, feeling that we're here and that we have what we need, we feel good about ourselves, is enhanced and supported through our relationships. The issue with Venus anywhere is a sort of materialism and possessiveness, the tendency relative to the Venusian function, especially if we understand that it's very much about survival, right? We want to feel good. We don't want to feel bad. We want to make sure that we have everything that we need. And so on the most gross level, biological survival level, discomfort is sort of antithetical to the survival impulse. And in the same way, feeling pleasure or feeling good signals I'm alive, I'm surviving, I'm doing well, I can feel good here. We do that with our physical reality, right? This could be, I like sugar and I'm going to eat a lot of sugar. Or these objects feel familiar, I'm familiar with them. I know that I have them, I can depend on them. The absence of them brings up insecurity. And we do that in our relationships. I like the way that I feel with you. I want more of that, right? It's a very subtle shift into commodifying things, places, and people according to how it makes us feel. The deeper teaching of Venus is relationship, not just how does it make me feel. When we're just operating under the realm of how does it make me feel, there's a very two-dimensional experience. I don't like the way this makes me feel, so I'm going to avoid it. I like the way this makes me feel, so I'm going to get more of it or more of you. And that orients entirely in a unidirectional way from the point of view of me and how it affects me. Relationship has more to do with what are your needs? Does this work for you? Right? What would you like? What can I give? Right? Where we come together in a quality of mutuality. Two people aren't just relating to a relationship from the perspective of what can you do for me? How do you make me feel? Who do I need you to be so I can feel a certain way? But more from the perspective of how can I bring betterment into your life? What do you need? What do I need? Where can we both choose in our agency to agree? Same thing in our physical relationship to our body, to space. We don't just hoard and bombard our senses with more sensory experience. We learn how to feel the state of balance. When is just enough, right? The quality of enoughness actually elicits in the heart a sense of gratitude. That was so good and delicious. I appreciate it. And I don't need more. I don't need to grasp for more pleasure, more sensation, more experience. It also allows us to be in the threshold of pain or discomfort. And that gets to be also okay. Not feeling good, not feeling a preferred feeling, from a more relational point of view says I can be in relationship to this present moment and listen to it. What is this telling me? What am I feeling? What is this informing about my own experience and my own choices and what I'm needing? And there's often just so much beauty that opens up when we're just willing to be with what is, as opposed to, I don't like the way that I'm feeling, I'm going to run towards something to take me away from that, or try to change you, or run towards someone else to make me feel differently. It's about the present moment, about presence, about feeling, about being with. So some Venus keywords, just to have that in our tool belt: feeling and listening and relationship, and the vibrational potency of those words, right? To feel is implicit to relationship or feeling, right? Listening as well. You can't really listen without also sort of stepping back into a place where we're allowing something to impress upon our internal experience. So, with that said, when Venus is in Capricorn, the growth, the maturation that happens is through building a relational experience with our life and with one another that's rooted in matured, thoughtful agency. What are the long-term consequences of these choices, of these actions? Where do I really want to go? We deal with all of our conditioning, our expectations, our roles, our should. It's not okay for me to eat that. It's not okay for you to want that. You can't say that to me. Or it's not okay for me to ask that of you. Or I really need this of you. I need you to be different, right? All the ways in which we place our conditioned ideas and judgments on ourselves and one another and on all facets of our life. And Venus in Capricorn says, in an introspective way, does it make you feel good? Like, are you actually feeling good? Do you feel good about yourself? Or are we overly possessive of particular conditions in order to elicit within us a feeling of goodness, feeling good? So to use this on the relational sphere, what we're learning, the way that we work with Venus and Capricorn in a healthy way, and this has very much been the journey over the past couple of weeks with Venus moving through Capricorn. What do we choose to do together? There's the expectations, the roles, the shoulds, and then there's the actual matured adult conversation. What do you want? What can you give? What am I available for, right? That's Venus in Capricorn wants to strengthen our listening skills, our ability to be present, our ability to feel, and really it's about taking responsibility for our own feelings, taking responsibility for our own needs. Another person isn't responsible for what we feel. We are responsible for that, and we're responsible for what we choose to do with that and what we choose to communicate. And it's really about, within any relational experience, the growth that happens is through the mutuality and the consent of two people agreeing together. Just to emphasize how rare that actually is, because in most relationships, we have this situation where we might have an unspoken expectation. I've often spoken about this idea of, from Dr. Glover, covert versus overt agreements, right? And this is very strong within Capricorn because there are all these ideas and beliefs of, well, this is how it should be. I'm going to act this way, or I learned this when I was a child. These are the ways that I was told to be loved and to be liked and to be approved of. I got to give this in order to receive what I need. But when these things aren't communicated, we're just sort of living in this unconscious way of holding one another in check, in jail, in a way that says, if I give you this, then I'm going to get this from you. But I don't really want to give you this. I'm only doing it because I know what I'm going to get from you. So because I'm giving this, and maybe what I'm going to get is being liked, right? Being appreciated, or, whatever it might be that we're working out in our own mind. It's going to create a gap in the relational field of trust and intimacy. And this is in any relationship. And there's going to be some need unmet, right? When we're giving and relating and sharing and connecting, contrary to what we actually want to do, we're going to need to get something from that other person to kind of compensate for that imbalance that we feel. When we create a reality of imbalance in our life, we're responsible for that. We're responsible for how we engage in our relationships and for doing the work necessary to cultivate a sense of balance in our lives. And this is the same thing with, let's say, our food and what we eat. If we have certain habits or addictive patterns, we have to ask ourselves this question. Do I like the way that I feel? Right? Maybe we like the way that we feel in the moment of a certain consumption, but is it really getting me long term? Am I becoming the person that I want to be? And so we take responsibility for how we choose to act upon the feeling impulses that arise. And in general, this is a Venus thing. We have a sensation, and then we do something with it. It's a very biological survival thing. And so the maturation within Capricorn is pausing. Do I really want to do that? What will be the consequences of that? Where can I apply more discipline or limitation in my life so I can cultivate more strength and stability and actually get into that healthy place that I want to be. So this is the Capricorn Venus foundation, and I speak about this because it's really helpful to understand what we're doing from Capricorn to Aquarius, what we're actually taking with us on this journey. If we're not doing the work in Capricorn to come into a place of alignment and mutuality and conscious relationship in our life, then what happens in Aquarius is everything gets really insecure and surprising and uncomfortable. Because Aquarius speaks to not the roles and the agreements and the conditions that we're choosing to cultivate consciously, it's everything but that. Aquarius is our essential individuality, our essential nature. And I'm going to explain this by giving a little analogy. You go to the store and you see your boss. So you're at the supermarket and you see your boss. At first, you think that's my boss because you're associating that body with a condition that you're familiar with. But then you realize, well, this person isn't my boss. I'm not on the job. I'm not on the clock. This person's just getting food at the grocery store. I know nothing about this person. So there's a spaciousness there where we're not seeing each other in that moment according to the known past and the roles and the agreements that we have. That's Capricorn. There aren't any roles or agreements here. Well, the only roles and agreements that exist might be the social roles of being in a supermarket, don't take your clothes off, and things like that. So we're free of the conditioned associations that we have. If there's open-mindedness, if we're willing to get beyond the appropriate, not appropriate, what I can, what I cannot do, I can't speak that way to my boss, I can't say, all of that, there's actually the potential for two souls to just meet each other for the first time. And in Aquarius, there's nothing more exciting and invigorating and inspiring than two souls that know each other meeting each other for the first time. Byron Katie actually has this famous line, no two people have ever met, because really we're just knowing our own thoughts that we have about the other person. The approximation of true meeting is the emptying of our conditions and our constructs and the roles that we're so familiar with. So that's what Aquarius is. We have all the roles and the structures and the conditions and the agreements that we have, and those are important. They each need to be honored. But then beyond that, we're not defined by that at all. And what happens more often than not, in all of our relationships and even in our diet, right, we get overly conditioned by the constructs, the roles, the ideas, the agreements, the forms that we are familiar with. And the Venusian tendency is I want to be secure, I don't want to be insecure. So I want to hold on to that. Aquarius says here, and this is really strong, I'm going to speak a little bit more to the astrology in a moment as to why this is so strong. But for now, Aquarius says who we are fundamentally points to our unique vibration as souls. And the way that we're going to organize ourselves with one another and with a larger community of life reflects the natural unfolding of divine algorithm, divine intelligence. It's not limited to or conditioned or defined by the known or the past. Now, we have certain relationships where for maybe many years might exist within a particular soul contract or agreement to manifest in a particular form. That has its expiration date. All forms have their timing. And we need to also be able to have enough spaciousness in our thinking to not hold the forms as such an importance that we miss out a greater expansive potential for growth, for an elevation of the status quo of our lives and of our relationships. So Venus entering Aquarius, if we're not coming from a place of mutuality, if that Capricorn dimension has still a lot of roles, expectations, judgments, and shoulds, the force of awakening that comes up in Aquarius might feel very unsettling. Suddenly we have feelings that we don't know what to do with it. Or another person wants, or we feel like the status quo of our life just isn't really meeting what we need. Or we're shocked or surprised by a desire or a need that someone else in our life wants. All of these things can feel very destabilizing. Or the life that we're living, how we make money, the things that we do. If we're fixing ourselves so tightly to the known, this can feel very unsettling, right? Conversely, if we're in right relationship to the Capricorn dimension, right? So right relationship is like the root chakra. That's what ethics are with Capricorn. We're in alignment where the time, space, relational, social factors of our life are in alignment, and they don't take up more space than the function and purpose that they serve, right? So the ground of root, there's an agreement, there's a structure, there's a form, there's a responsibility, and we're honoring it for what it is. It allows us to also let go and make the necessary distinction between the roles and the forms and the unfolding of the intelligence of life, the divine algorithm that has its own program. It's important to always remember with Aquarius that the program has its own intelligence. It has nothing, zero, to do with our conditioning, with our past, with the known, with the bodies, with the forms. This is why, from a larger span of time soul perspective, we might, have an intimate partnership with someone in one lifetime, and then in the next lifetime that might be one of our parents, right, or children. You might have a coworker that will be your sibling. The arrangements of form that manifest from life to life are very, very different. And then within a particular life, we need to be able to allow for necessary transformation, formation, above, right, beyond form. That's why Aquarius actually corresponds to transformation. It's just saying there's another experience beyond the form that you know. Pluto, on the other hand, is transmutation. So when we think about Pluto, we're looking at a fundamental change on the level of DNA. It's like caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly. And so when we have a strong Pluto process unfolding right now, which we do, we don't really know what's on the other end of it. So the key with this Venus transit, and Venus is, very personal, it's relational, it's going to move towards Pluto. It's going to start a new phase with Mars. And over the next month, both Venus and Mars will square Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, just as they're coming together for a conjunction in April. So a lot of really radical changes all happening in this new phase, a new cycle with the transmutational evolutionary energy of Pluto. It says here, we don't know where we're going. We just need not hold on to the past, the fixations and the security and the status quo of the known. A key quality with Venus and Aquarius is friendliness and well-wishing. I don't want to hold you in check. I don't want to be your jailer. I wish you well. I want what's best for you. And so I'm going to keep my mind open for what wants to be, for what wants to unfold according to the evolutionary will of life itself. Where we are going and the greater potential and joy and embodied experience of life and how we can benefit each other is so great that our ideas of it are going to limit it. So really being able to access that energy of what's best for you is going to be best for me. And that cooperative mindset is a key component here. That allows us to meet potential changes in form with grace, with openness, with togetherness. I want to end this teaching with one more analogy, one more story. I've noticed when I watch my kids play, and when I watch kids play in general, a very interesting and fascinating behavior. If one kid is playing with a toy, that toy was in the room forever. One kid begins playing with it, or it's an object, right? It doesn't have to be a toy. Inevitably, what almost always happens is the other kid or some other kid will see that and want to play with it too. They're not interested in the toy or the object, right? Because that object was there. The kid sees the other child in the engagement of joy and play and creativity and interest. Like they see them being interested, and that's attractive. The child doesn't necessarily realize, oh, I want to also be enjoying myself. I want to have an engaging, exciting, playful, and creative experience in the present moment. What happens is they associate the fulfillment that they're seeking with that object of play. Really, the invitation is for the second kid to realize, I too can enjoy myself. I can pick up another toy, or I can find a way to collaborate and join with this other kid that's having fun and is engaged with my presence, with my whole being. I can find another object and engage, right? And what will I pick, right? One kid is playing with a comb and the other kid is, holding a flower. There's all kinds of creative possibility. It's when we become competitive and evaluative in our own sense of worth, right? Comparative. My value is diminished because I don't have what another person has. If I have that, or if I have that kind of relationship, if I have that kind of object or that kind of experience with those kinds of things, that kind of clothing, whatever it might be, I'll feel better about myself too. But it doesn't work that way. It never does. Because what we're really seeking is how we are to feel a certain way. We're not actually seeking the object of focus. And so the key is to cultivate a mindset of friendliness, inclusion, and openness to all of the possibilities. So we can really find ourselves either stuck in a sort of poverty, impoverished mindset, especially as Venus and Mars move to square Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus as they're coming together. It can really highlight where all of our life seems to be pointing out where we can't get what we are wanting. I can't have it, or I'm stuck in these conditions, or whatever it might be. The key is to recognize the other possibility, which is actually this is a time of cultivating a profoundly beautiful, abundant mentality. But it really might mean letting go of a lot of the ways we thought things should be and opening to what will be and what wants to unfold. Quick announcement, we have 2 things happening soon. I'm very excited about that. We have next Sunday, the 18th, a free talk that I'm offering on the upcoming Chiron North Node conjunction. This is a healing talk speaking about these planets completing a cycle and entering a new phase. This is about a quality of self-leadership and trusting our own medicine through making the choices to walk our path, even if there's doubt. And there's a lot of beauty to unpack in this upcoming conjunction. The second is a new teaching program and point of availability that I'm offering. Every Monday, starting next week, I'm going to be teaching a free live class, YouTube streaming it. This is not on the transits. This is an actual astrology class. So I'm teaching this in tandem to my upcoming training program, which will also be a weekly class. These weekly free classes on Monday are an opportunity for anyone to learn from me. And I'm going to be doing aspects all year. The first teaching series will be aspects to Pluto. So every week will be different planet, right? So Moon Pluto aspects, Sun Pluto aspects, the Venus Pluto aspects. So my first class on Monday will be an introduction to aspects to Pluto, and then different planets every week thereafter. This is free. This is for anyone that wants to study. It's offered freely. For those that want to work with me more directly, and that want to train in my curriculum, in my study program from the very beginning, you are welcome to join me in my training program. And I've actually decided to make this program a closed cohort. We're going to begin our first class mid-March, and it's about a whole year training program. It's for anyone that is new to astrology or those that are already practiced but want to study from the beginning, from the ground up, with solid guidance. Every class we have designated Q&A for that week's segment, and we have a forum. We also have a workbook and a transcription. There are many practice assignments in the workbook, so anyone that wants to practice and get my review and feedback, you can do that as well. So I'm very much looking forward to this new program. Check it out in the description below. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. All right, as always, thank you so much for watching.